So did you get to check out the Tom Brady roast yet?
I have not, but I have seen some shorts on it, but I can't say what they were because it would be
Oh,
inappropriate.
they're so inappropriate. That's what I love about them.
It was hilarious, seeing Kevin Hart up there. Nikki Glaser was funny.
Oh, killer.
Uh,
She's a stone cold killer.
was did Julia did Edelman do something on there too?
Yep.
And he
Edelman was there.
roasted.
Gronk.
He
Yep.
roasted Belichick on his. He's like, these boys down at whatever high school play better than you do, and Edelman cracked back at that one. That was pretty funny. But other than that, no, I really haven't seen. I haven't watched it yet. I just need to sit down and finally watch or listen to it. Tom Brady, he is. I'll give him his flowers. He is the GOAT of this decade. We'll say this thing of football.
The era.
The era, yes. He is.
Well, he was actually he probably at least an era and a half, maybe 2 eras, because he played for so long.
Yeah, and he's got so many damn Super Bowl rings, and I give him his flowers. I never was a big Brady fan. You know what? I'll take that back. It wasn't the fact it was Tom Brady. It was just the fact that the Patriots kept winning so many damn Super Bowls. That's what it was.
Yeah, I tell you, he's not really beloved here in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know, I live behind enemy territory here in Pittsburgh, and they do not like that man, which is fun because I get to don because being a Michigan fan. In case you didn't notice here over here, I got to wear my Tom Brady Michigan jersey when they were playing the Patriots here. It was kind of fun. But my favorite comment that I think oh yes, Dennis is that we hate TB12. That is 100% accurate. Mr. Quad Father, we appreciate your support. Once again, Austin Art in the building. We appreciate you, Austin's art.
Yes.
But yeah, we have my favorite comment, I think, of the whole thing was actually Brady. When Brady made the comment, and I'm going to paraphrase, so I'm sure I'm going to get it incorrect, but he talked about Peyton Manning, and he said, Peyton Manning, it's he splits part of his time in Denver. He splits parts. He stays part of his time in Denver. He spends part of his time in New Orleans, but he spends 100% of his time in the shadow. I was dying laughing at some of this stuff. It was really good, but let's get into some real football. Enough of the jokes. It's time to talk some football. I know it's the off season, but there's still stuff to dig into. So let's get it started. All right, welcome everybody. You are back at Running Through the Jungle. I'm your host, Brandon Herriott, aka Beat Dirt, here with your host, Tim Lyons. Mr. Justin Lacey, because of all the storms, is having some issues with technical issues with his Wi-Fi and internet, so he will be missing today's show. But if you didn't catch him yet, him and Mr. Chase Younts did a cut to the chase and actually covered some of the things we're going to cover today. It's already up on the channel, so if you haven't checked that out, please do. Please like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. I do want to take a quick second because a lot of you know I do shows on other channels. I guest on Know-It-Alls. I've been on Tim as well. Has been on these channels. I do a weekly show the homies over on the Steel Curtain Network. I was brought into this kind of podcast world with Kevin Tate on that network, and we really went from what you see now, where we're only having a handful of people watching us live because we just started doing live shows a few weeks ago, and we're on a different day this week because of me and my work schedule. I promise you that will not happen during football season. I apologize for that. I even tried to go on and put a message on, but my work computer will no longer let me go on my YouTube since I'm now going live. So lesson learned, but we appreciate you. This is a lot of hard work. And the reason why you don't see a lot of podcasts succeeding or staying or sticking around is because all the work that goes into the back of the scenes. There's time invested, there's money invested, there's a lot of really, I mean, this is a labor of love. We do it because we have fun doing it. We do it because interacting with you guys in the live chat and interacting with our the people that jump on and the fans that jump on and talk football with us is a lot of fun. You know, we were doing this kind of stuff, talking trash to each other. Myself, Tim, Tate, Pay, all these guys. We were doing this already on our cell phones before we started opening our computers. So it's bringing a little bit of us and how we look at football and how we look at sports and bringing it over to you guys. So we appreciate you rocking with us. Anything you can do to help share this with any of your other football friends or fanatics or just on your social media pages, we appreciate it as always. So let's get into some Bengals stuff. I know we've, outside of the draft, we've pretty much been talking about negative stuff. People wanting trades and people we're going to lose and yada, yada, yada. And I've been on a Steel Curtain Network trying to explain to them that we'll never trade T. Higgins to them over and over and over again. Big G, I'm talking to you. So let's talk about something, a little positive news. Yeah. There's a video out there of our boy Burrow back with the rookies, throwing the ball, rolling out. My favorite moment was he overthrew Chuck Sizzle on a 50-yard pass. And I was like, oh, my boy, thank you. I didn't even care he overthrew him. I was glad he didn't hit him in stride. I wish he'd have thrown it another 15 yards. So what are your thoughts on it, Tim? What do you think about Joe Burrow being back?
I'll tell you this right now. Like I said before, Joe Burrow is the top 2 quarterback in the NFL. I don't care what some people say on the other podcasts. But, I was watching that video the other day, and then I watched his live conference come up, and I was like, Joe Burrow, he is a cool mother trucker. He is just cool. He is out there, they say that he's out there throwing heat, just after having this surgery. He made comments of, he's striving to get better, to get stronger, to eating right. Of course, there's that, part of him that has that kind of, he doesn't know anybody that has had this, any quarterbacks that have had this kind of injury in the NFL. So, he had nothing really to compare to of how he was going to, make his recovery. But he's on track. He's on pace. Brad, what's our quarterback coach's name? Brad. He's got a really weird last name. But anyways, he said Joe Burrow looks good. He goes, he's throwing the ball and, moving, he's moving like he normally does. They don't see anything wrong with him. Joe Burrow does look bigger. He looks stronger. You can definitely tell that he's lifting weights and eating right and, trying to stay on track to being Joe Burrow again. Yeah, it's exciting to see.
Yeah, very interesting to me with him rolling out and throwing as well. I mean, that's not something that you do if you're having severe pain in your wrist.
Right.
Or hand or something like that, because you really got to squeeze the ball when you do those kind of things. So I was pretty excited about it. As anytime I see him out there, I get excited about it, and rooting for him. It's weird because he's coming off of surgery, and this could honestly be the first time he has a chance and an opportunity at a normal preseason. It comes in his rookie year. You got to learn everything, so it's not really getting yourself honed and sharpening with steel, you should say. It's I would say, um, like the appendectomy, the calf, those injuries, those are things that we didn't see him get to actually be out there and throw passes. So I'm looking forward for him to get a healthy off season. Now, all that said, he should be recovered from this before training camps and all those kind of things. But, I've seen it out there. There's a lot of people saying it, and I'm sure it's there's definitely a reason why this question's out there, and I can't just not address it or say anything about it. But do you have concerns about Joe Burrow's health going forward? Do you think this is something where he maybe is injury prone, things of that nature? I'm gonna ask you 1 to 10, 10 being most concerned about his injury history and problems and stuff as we move forward. Rate that and tell me why you feel that way.
My concerns with Joe Burrow is like a 3, I'll say a 3.5. And that is because of the current injury he's recovering from, the surgery he's recovering from. He couldn't help the MCL. It was breaking Burrow season 1, and his MCL, it happened. Then the appendectomy, and then, the calf at the very beginning of the season last year, which he played through, and he probably shouldn't have, but he did. I know there's a lot of haters out there like, oh, Joe Burrow, he's injury prone. He's injury prone. Well, I think Joe Burrow in those first couple of years, he was out there playing, he was playing injured, or he was overdoing it. He was trying to be the best he could be. But now I believe, and he's made the statement himself, when he's feeling tight, or, he's not feeling himself, he's going to take the time off during the off season, or, training camps, whatever, and be like, hey, it's kind of not feeling right, a little tightness or whatever. And he's kind of trying to do what he needs to do. I think Joe has pushed himself over the years, hence the calf injury last year. Like I said, the knee injury, that was something that happened that was an end game. That was a football kind of thing, unfortunately. But I think Joe Burrow is a mature, even though Joe Burrow is so cool and he keeps to himself, but I think he's a different kind of Joe Burrow now. I want to say he's matured a lot more right now, and he's going to do what he needs to do to get healthy, to get on track, to be a winning quarterback again. So like I said, I'd say it's about 3.5, but that's only because of his current wrist recovery.
Yeah, Dennis Pavlik, the Quad Father, as we commonly refer to him as, he's got him at about 4.5. I get the concern. I get the 4.5. I get the 3.5. I look at it a little differently, right? And with his interview, I think he touched on his maturity level, right? Becoming a little bit more sound. And he talked about more this time about, recovering from this. He needs to be smart about it. If he's having, soreness, he needs to sit out. He needs to do these things. And I think that's a learning curve to what's happened over the past couple of years, because I really think the calf last year was probably because of his rehab of coming off that ACL, making sure that he was strengthening his legs. Yeah. I think he probably overdid it, and that's when you end up with the tweaked calf, which really was. I mean, it was the first few weeks of the season. I mean, he couldn't hardly move. So that's what I think. Now, that said, that's the one soft tissue injury, and I think it happened because of the rehab from the ACL. Yeah. The ACL was a freak hit This wrist injury was caused from a hit in the Baltimore game and a sack. So, and the way he fell on it. So I don't see a common thread. Like, we've talked, and not to pick on a guy here, but T has reoccurring. Like, it seems like every year it's 2 to 5 games that he's going to miss because of his hamstring. And I really hope that he's figuring that out this offseason. But it's not like the same reoccurring soft tissue injuries. It's just a little this here and there, freak things. I think with the maturity and obviously bulking up a little bit, putting an extra 10, 15 pounds on that frame, I think is going to help him a lot. So my concern, really, I got to be honest with you, probably at a 1.75.
Yeah.
I'm not really concerned about it, but there's a little elephant in the back of my head. Like, what I mean? As soon as he gets hurt or like hit in a game, I'm sure I'm going to like jump up and grab my head and, freak out a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see. But I agree with you. I still think, if you want to make an argument for him in the top 3 or top 4, even, like, I'll let you make an argument there. I have him at 2 as well, as far as quarterbacks in the league. But if I've seen people excluding him from the top 5 because of his injury history. And I just find that ridiculous. I
kind of want to. I want to speak about that too, because I saw it was like the top 12 quarterback list by Bleacher. And Bleacher had Joe Burrow at 9, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was at like 9. And all these other quarterbacks are above him. I get it. I do. I get it. There's a little bit of bias in me. I admit it. I'm a Joe Burrow, I'm a Bengals fan. But Joe Burrow is that type of quarterback that you can put the ball in his hands with 5 minutes left in the game and get us down the field to score points and to win a game. So, it like I said, it might be biased, but whatever. It is what it is. These pre-writers, the Bengals are projected to do this, right? They're trying to call this stuff out right now. We don't know until football season starts, until the actual games are played.
Yeah. Austin's Art says a lot of skeptics online have been putting a lot of doubt on him, and it's just been ridiculous. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And I'll say this too. I saw a comparison between him and Dak Prescott. I didn't even respond to it. They put numbers up side by side and said, look, at same quarterback. Why would you pick him over them? To those people, can you honestly say, if you're down 4 with 1:45 left in the game, you want to give the ball to Dak Prescott or Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow.
I mean, let's go.
Yeah.
All day and all night. I just don't get it. Whatever. I mean, like one of those things. If you look at last season was a perfect example. Early in the year, Dak Prescott had himself in the running for the MVP talks and all that kind of stuff. And when you look at his numbers, when they played bad defenses, the poor defenses, he compiled tons of big numbers. Thrown for 400, thrown for 450, never took his foot off the gas, and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then when they play tough teams, nothing. Right. Nothing. And that's Joe Burrow's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Exact opposite.
And perfect.
There's a big G fan right there. Dennis says Dak is trash compared to Burrow.
Yeah, and that's a perfect thing that you said. Last year when Joe Burrow was, hobbling along on his bad calf muscle, when we played the 49ers, went out there and whooped their rear ends, Joe Burrow plays different football against these teams. Look what he does against the Kansas City Chiefs. Like I said, against the 49ers. He's a different kind of quarterback. And I don't want to make the excuse of, you guys are welcome that Joe Burrow got hurt last year. I don't want to make that excuse. But you guys are welcome, because that's the only way that you guys won these games. Because without Joe Burrow on the field, and he was pretty much on his peak of being healthy again, it would have been a whole different ball game. But you know what? Coulda, woulda, shoulda, whatever. That was last year. I love Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow as a Bengals fan, my favorite quarterbacks are Boomer Esiason, Ken Anderson, and Joe Burrow. Those guys I had confidence in to watch them play and win football games. Like Andy Dalton, Keely Smith, Carson Palmer. I was never a Carson Palmer fan either. Joe Burrow is just that type of quarterback. He's just so damn calm. He's cool. He goes out there and does what he needs to do when he is healthy, that is. And he's a different kind of quarterback. If you have that kind of quarterback on your team, you're going to win games. If you don't, you're going to choke and you're going to lose.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he's making us relevant. I think his statement where he says that there's Claude Bishop comes in and says top 3 right away. And Claude, we just said, as long as you got him in your top 3 or 4, I'm not going to argue with you. That's a lot of subjective analysis at that point, but he's definitely, not at number 9.
Right.
But yeah, I think his, when he said the window is as long as I'm here, the guy believes it, and he's starting to make me think the same. So
yeah,
I appreciate that. Before we get into our kind of season analysis that we're going to do and what we're looking for out of the team this year, I want to jump into you guys did a pretty good job last week while I was out at work. I was down in Cincinnati, so for work, ironically. But you guys did a good job talking about the draft analysis and taking your second look at it or whatever. But I want to focus here on we signed a lot of undrafted free agents. Obviously, don't want to go through every single one. Most of them probably won't be around. But I want you to. Is there one or two in the group that piqued your interest and you might want to keep an eye on, we'll say, going forward with this. And I do want to read here what we got here. Tim Lyons, we got tackling seriousness, one chuckle at a time as your tagline today. For those of you who don't know, we normally switch those up and make ridiculous sayings on them. So keep an eye on those too.
Yeah. So I just I know we signed, or we got a running back, because I'm a big running back guy. You guys know that. I can't remember what his name was.
You got the old run the damn ball, huh?
Yeah. Man, I can't remember what I'm trying to look. Sorry.
The guy was from Elijah Collins from Oklahoma State.
Yeah. Collins from Oklahoma State. He could make our practice squad. We don't know which direction. I'm just to be honest with you guys. We don't know which direction we're going to go with the run game. We got Zach Moss, we got Chase Brown, we got Williams, and do we still have Chris? What the hell's the other running back? The guy that always
Chris Evans, Captain America. Out of Michigan.
Yeah, do we still have?
He's still around, but he's been in the doghouse for so long. Poor guy. He's probably got worms by now.
Yeah, so I don't know what's gonna. Like I said, I don't know what's gonna happen to the run game. We don't know what direction we're gonna go. We have, oh my gosh, I'm going blank today. The tight end that moved to fullback. Oh my goodness. Sample. Yes, I'm so sorry. Sample moved to fullback. So are we going to see some different run formations?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because it's completely different than what we've done.
Yeah,
maybe that's something that they think Brown is better at. Because you rewind it more towards our time with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was that deep set single back, like to have a full head of steam run it. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, so run the damn ball. You damn right there,
Run the
Quadfather.
damn
Run
ball,
the damn
Dennis.
ball. You guys know me. I love running the football. I
I
love
give
it's
a
exciting
heads
to me.
up. We got a lot of Steelers fans over here.
Got
We got
some
Reginald
Steelers.
Rivers, the homie Claude, Matrix 3 over here, baby. You're welcome
Yeah,
anytime.
Like I said, the run game is what's questionable for me. I saw the undrafted rookie. But other than that, I kind of really wasn't paying attention, to be honest with you, with the undrafted rookies, because like you said, what's the chances of them actually getting a deal? They might go practice squad, who knows? But that's pretty much it for the undrafted rookies for me. I don't really have anything. It's nobody that like really excited me too much.
So and you'll see here before we get started, let's go ahead with my tag. Over here is grumpy old men. With Lacey and Chase not here, you got to deal with the grumpy old men.
Yeah.
There's where it is.
Yep, you're still putts.
That's right. I tell you what, this kid out of Cortland State, Division III champions, Cole Burgess, wide receiver. I'm really curious about this guy, Tim. They got him rated like he would have had the highest in the combine, would have had the highest vertical jump and broad jump for a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. They had him rated as a 98 in athleticism. I'm interested to see this kid. You know what I mean? I like anytime you can start putting special athletes like that out there. If the kid could catch, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
And then let me tell you, we got a couple of linebackers, and I know I was hoping Lacey would be on. We can talk about him. He wanted to talk about linebackers. Eric Casey, linebacker out of Indiana, I think a big upside there. And especially needing some guys one of these two guys I think is going to need to make the team for special teams contributions at least. Wisconsin, the Mayama, I'm not going to say this right, Jagmeda. I can't pronounce his name.
Sure.
But Luke Fickell was a big fan of this dude and really kind of stuck his neck out there, really thinking he's going to be really good. Yeah, so that's a good one. Dennis also said, unfortunately, you guys got Jenkins. I'm looking forward to him going at it with our upgraded offensive line. Yeah, we talked about going into the draft about who we wanted, and I may have said Chris Jenkins, the mutant, a few times. I might have been putting up this picture quite a bit here, Dennis. 6'3", 299, 29 bench press reps, 4'9", 40. Yeah, just a big dude.
He was not biased at all during that whole time either. No bias.
There was definitely a little bit of bias, but the dude's a bad man. Are you familiar with the Turkish lift, the Turkish stand?
Yeah.
Where they take the dumbbell and they lay on their backs, take a dumbbell, or sometimes I've seen kettlebell, hold it over their head, and then they have to get up. So it's really about core strength, balance, shoulder, and grip strength. He did it with 175-pound dumbbells.
Whew. Wow.
At 299 pounds. It's over half his weight. That's a bad dude. That's a
So are you saying that we could possibly have a future Aaron Donald, maybe?
I'm not going to go that far.
I'm just saying because he's so. I'm not saying that he is, but I'm saying just because he's so strong. His core and athleticism is so good that because Aaron Donald, he was a beast. That dude.
Yeah. I just don't see I don't see the need to take somebody who's never played a snap in the NFL and tell you he's going to be a Pro Bowler or tell you he's going to be a Hall of Famer or tell you whatever. Like, I got to really stick my neck out there to think that, right? That's got to be a once in a generation kind of talent. And listen, is there a possibility he might be a perennial Pro Bowler or whatever? Sure. I'd be happy if we're just not 31st in rush defense next year. How about that? Let's start there.
Amen.
Let's start there.
Amen.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys rocking with us. We're going to take a quick break here, hear from some of our partners. If you're on YouTube, you're going to see us sit here and not do a whole lot for a few seconds. If you're with us on Spotify or Apple or anything like that, go ahead and hit that 15-second fast forward about 4 or 5 times, and we'll be right back with you. All right, and we are back at Running Through the Jungle. I'm Brandon Herriott here with your host Tim Lyons. We were just discussing, the Bengals, Joe Burrow, a little bit of that offseason, push that we're having from him coming back from wrist surgery. We did a little bit of the little on the undrafted free agents, but I really want to talk about what our expectations are this year. What do we consider a good a good season? Do we need to get back to the playoffs? Do we need to get back to the AFC Championship game? Is it all the way up to getting back to the Super Bowl? Where's your expectations? I want to talk about we have 10.5 wins as our over under on DraftKings. We're going to talk a little bit about that. A little bit about our strength of schedule and kind of where you're going with it. And if you want to break it down, because when I do this and I look at our expectations, really there's pivotal position rooms, right? There's going to be real pivotal position rooms. Obviously, I think you look at our 31st ranked rush defense. We gave up several big plays in defensive backfield. It's pretty easy to start pointing at some of them. But we also have some new people coming in, so that might change your opinion on those things. Mm-hmm. We'll start it off. Just let's do the broad stroke first. What do you need to see to consider this a successful season? Where is that finish line?
I think we first have to start off with Joe Burrow. I think that's going to be our main pivot right there is Joe Burrow, his health, how he recovers, how he, comes back and plays. I think that's the start. Our defensive, we have some new defense, we got the trades, the trade request and all that stuff too. But like I said, though, I think our main category is Joe Burrow and his health and how he comes back, how he recovers. I do agree. I do agree with DraftKings. The 10.5. I think that's fair. I think that is fair. I'm not going into the year going like I was last year, out of my mind. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. We have all these tools and everything that we can build off of having a successful season. I'm not doing that this year. This year, I want to see, how is T. Higgins going to play? Is he going to, is he going to continuously have a soft tissue issue? Jamar Chase, we know how Jamar Chase is. That boy is a baller. That dude's a baller. I love Jamar Chase. Another thing was the run game. How are we going to utilize the run game? Then the biggest part for me is the defense. And yes, beating the AFC North in general.
Claude says beating the Steelers.
Yeah. But our defensive wise, we have Von Bell back. We got Geno Stone from the Ravens. We have a hell of a safety room right now. And then we added Sheldon Rankins, brought in Chris Jenkins. So the defense is another part. And Mike Hilton, our dog, is still out there, playing for us. So, the corner room, it's just a lot of things that can go on. But when it comes to the schedule right now, to be honest with you, and like I said it last week too, the schedule to me, I'm like, it is what it is. They're all athletes. It's a game. They're going to play. They're going to win. They're going to lose. Right now, the schedule's like, whatever. But I'm going to say, I think our expectation would be about 10 games, right? Would be 10 games.
All right. So if I'm looking at it, grand overview, I think to be a successful season, have to win a playoff game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm not going to jump it all the way. Like, I'm not going to put the pressure on that we have to win the AFC and represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. There's a lot of good teams in the AFC. I think we need to win a playoff game again, get that taste back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got a lot of new guys in, a lot of young guys that are going to play really good minutes. You can make the argument that it's Super Bowl or bust because of T. Higgins and because of Trey Hendrickson and some of this. Like, is this the last time we have the whole group together? Right. I don't know. So, I'm going to say that winning a playoff game is a successful season to me.
Yeah.
I will also say I think we're over 10.5. And the reason why is because we got that, even though we had a winning record at 9-8, everybody in the division did. We got that last place schedule. So we get to play the Giants. We get to play the Panthers. We get to play, the West. So we have the Raiders, the Broncos. The Commanders, I think, have gotten better. We have the Patriots. So we have some pretty winnable games. I think we need to have a jump back season because of that. So I'm thinking it's got to be. I would put the over under at 11.5. I feel 12-5. I feel real good. 11-6. I feel good. 10-7. I feel like with this schedule, being in the middle of the pack schedule, I think we missed the boat. And listen, the only reason why we have a 502 winning percentage against our schedule this year is what their winning percentage was.
Right.
And the only reason why that it's that high is because of the AFC North.
Yeah.
We're tied at 16th with the Chiefs, who have a number one schedule. You know what I mean? But they also have a really weak division with the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Chargers all having down years last year. Right. So you look at that, and I really think that we're poised to have a good season because of that. Now, I would have said going into the season, or going into the draft, I should say, or free agency, going into the offseason, I would have said safety and defensive line were the obvious two that would be the pivotal things for this season.
Right.
I would have probably put third, I would have put offensive line because of keeping Burrow healthy and getting those guys out there. Like, we had them out there together a lot last year. You don't see that year after year. So I moved that up now. I love what they did on defensive line. I like Rankins. I like Jenkins. I even like McKinley, the kid out of Texas A&M, or run stuffer. So I'm happy with what they did defensive line-wise. I think
Claude.
Geno Stone. 2-15, but you sweep the Steelers. I would be disgusted, but somewhat happy. But Geno Stone, great addition. The safety room, bringing back some old familiar faces, doing the old recycle. I really was happy with Battle playing at the end of last year. It's going to be interesting to see who gets on the field there with our depth chart. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one, but now I go off of that safety room. So I have offensive line 1, and number 2, I have corner.
Yeah.
And not because I think we were bad at corner last year, but can we stay healthier? A. And B, what does that look like now when you add Dax to that corner room and now you can get a little more press man. Now you can, if someone goes into 12 personnel, you can put him on the smaller tight end. I like the way that matchup looks, so that's the reason why I think that's our 1 and 2 now, offensive line and corner, which completely changed going into free agency.
It did. And I think and I should have mentioned this, I think the addition with Von Bell coming in and Geno Stone, you got those veterans that are going to improve our communication in the secondary. That was one of the biggest things that everybody was saying that we were lacking last year was communication. Communication in the secondary was awful, and there was times where it was just chaos and nobody knew what was going on. So I think bringing Bell back and bringing Stone in, that communication is going to be a hell of a lot better. And then you got Mike Hilton. He's a old dog veteran. That communication is going to be a hell of a lot better in the secondary, and I think it's going to improve our defense a lot more when we're playing against the Chiefs and the Steelers or the Ravens. I have a feeling that, I'm not going to say hope because hope is not a strategy. I just have a feeling that the Bengals defense is going to be like night and day compared to last year.
I like how you beat me to saying that. That was good. Dennis says the AFC North runs the NFL in Kansas City. Couldn't agree more. That said, it's a real quick way to unite Bengals and Steelers fans when we need to put the Browns back in their rightful place.
Yes.
Back in that cellar. Back in that cellar, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like with our strength of schedule, with our additions, I feel like we should have now. The only reason why I'm not saying I would have it at 12 or 13 wins to be, glass half full guy, but we play in the AFC North. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're
right.
So I automatically think we're going to a good year is 4 and 2. That's a really good year in the AFC North, right? So if we go 3 and 3, I'm content in the AFC North. 4 and 2, I'm pretty happy. And if we go above 4 and 2, forget about it. We're talking about Super Bowl at that point.
Yeah.
Or we're talking about who got injured in the AFC North.
Yeah.
So no in betweens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the injuries they had in the AFC North last year, and still without Pittsburgh, without having a quarterback, still makes the playoffs.
Well, in the Browns,
Joe Flacco got dug up out of the grave, and goes to the playoffs. So I mean, just a pretty incredible division, really, as far as just physicality and strength. And yes, I mean, look, we got a lot of Steelers over here in our chat. I'm gonna tell you, they had an A+ draft. You know what I mean? Like they knocked the draft out of the park. Now those, again, rookies got to play before you can really figure out what they are, or if there's a learning curve for them, or if they jump in and hit the ground running. But they look good on paper.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we hit all the things we were going to talk about, man. Any last comments you want to make about the off season or the?
I wanted to ask you something see how you felt about this, because I know there are some wily veterans out there that are still on the free agency, and I keep seeing this not rumor, but this perfect addition for the Bengals would be Calais Campbell on the defensive line.
He just signed with.
Oh, did he sign?
Did he sign with the Cowboys?
I didn't see nothing.
Let me see. I know he was rumored to be to be going there. Let me see if he's maybe not. I don't see it. He was rumored to be going there.
Yeah, well, anyways, so I keep seeing this stuff about, people are like, oh, Calais Campbell would be a good addition for the Bengals and the defensive line. And I'm like really thinking about it. I'm looking at it. I'm like, well, he's been in the league for a while. He's a big dude. Trey Hendrickson can get time off. Hubbard can get time off, but then we also have Miles Murphy still.
But he plays inside more than outside now. He's 37 years old.
Right, right. Well, but I did see, he has played when he was when he was with Atlanta, he played a little bit of defensive end, not edge rusher, but defensive end. So I'm like, it would kind of make sense, but my biggest problem with Calais Campbell is his age.
For sure. If listen, if he wants to try and chase, if he thinks the Bengals might be a place for him to come and chase playoffs and possible ring, and he wants to sign a vet minimum deal or close to it,
yeah,
then okay. But other than that, I'm good on 37-year-old defensive tackles. I'm out on that. I'm looking up right now to see. I mean, with the two tight ends we drafted, I mean, maybe a Steven Nelson, Stephon Gilmore is expected to probably go back to the Cowboys, but I think Gilmore and Xavier Howard are going to want too much money.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to want too much money. I don't see that. I don't think we're good at safety. So there's not a whole lot left, to be honest with you.
And that's true. And I agree. And I do agree. Yeah, cornerback wise, I agree with safety. Everything that you just said. Yeah, I totally agree with you. But there was that thing of Calais Campbell. Be like, oh, they'd be a perfect fit for the Bengals. And I thought about it. Like I said, it was kind of a thought, and I just want to see what you kind of thought about it.
I think we're in a better place after our draft. BJ Hill, Rankins, Jenkins, and McKinley. Again, unless one of those guys are really don't hit the ground running and aren't up to speed, but I really expect Jenkins to be a plug and play player. Those guys played big time programs, big time. When you're getting guys from the SEC and Big Ten, those are some big uglies.
Yeah,
and Jenkins was a problem. You got to think about going into Michigan in the past 3 years. 2 of the past 3 years, they've had the offensive line of the year, and he practiced against those guys every day. So like he's got to be. I would think he's going to make an impact right away. So
yeah,
I'm good without them. Yeah, the only other thing I'm going to miss the Browns not having draft picks. That's the other thing I'm going to miss about the draft. I kind of like not seeing the Browns until round 3 because they gave Browns, up the world for Juergens.
The Browns could end up screwing it up. Come on, it's the Cleveland Browns. They could end up screwing it up again and losing their next 5 years draft picks. Who knows? Who knows what they're up to next?
I love it. All right. Hey, we're going to get out of here, guys. I'm not going to waste your time. It's going to be a little bit shorter than normal, but it's the off season. We're probably going to have 45, 50-minute shows here from the next, I don't know, couple months anyway. We appreciate you guys rocking with us, especially you guys over there, Steelers fans. I appreciate you coming over to the jungle, checking us out. I will say this. You can catch on Wednesday the 22nd. Now, normally Wednesday at 8:05 Eastern time is when you're going to catch this Running Through the Jungle episode. Again, a little bit weird this week. Next week will definitely be on Wednesday 8:05. Wednesday at 6:35 right here on the Running Through the Jungle channel, live for the first time, you can catch Pay Dirt. We're going to do our NFL Futures Special, and we're going to be going through team wins, over and unders, division champions, conference champions, NFL, like Super Bowl champions. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that. I don't care. Big game champion. We're going to be going through rookie of the year, defense and offense, your MVPs, all those kind of things, where we find value in some of those lines and giving you the lines we see out there right now on DraftKings and checking it out. So We appreciate you guys. Again, like, subscribe. If you haven't hit it, hit that thumbs up, hit that notification bell, share it, tell a friend to tell a friend. We appreciate you guys rocking with us. And we will see you next week as we are running through the jungle.